Forget about London Business School. Forget about Harvard Business School. If you want to wake up the entrepreneur in you, come and live in Nigeria for 1 year. Nigeria will humble you. Nigeria will frustrate you. Nigeria will push you harder than any business class could ever do. Here, Survivor itself is an MBA in hustle. Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I am Madam Chomzi, and on this channel we talk about life, we talk about relocation, we talk about culture shock, we talk about returning to Nigeria and the realities of living here, the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. Now today I'm going to talk about something positive. Usually we talk about the frustrations in Nigeria, and believe me, there are many. But there are things that Nigeria does exceptionally well. One thing that I've observed from both living in the UK and living here in Nigeria is this: Nigeria will activate the hustler in you. I genuinely think that one of the biggest strengths that Nigerians have is this entrepreneurial mindset, this survival instinct, this ability to create something out of absolutely nothing. And I think that our environment forces that side of the brain to wake up. You don't need a fancy degree to spark the entrepreneurial spirit here. In fact, Nigeria, with all of its chaos, its opportunities, its frustration, would be the best teacher of hustle you would ever get. In the West, there are safety nets. So I know of the UK, and I'm sure in most Western countries, you have the welfare systems. So you have unemployment benefits, and in the UK, they have different kinds of benefit, housing support, a lot to help people that are struggling. That's if you qualify for them. So don't think you just come from Nigeria and you're entitled to benefits. No, that's if you don't. I know when I went to the UK as a student, on my passport it was stamped no recourse to public fund, meaning that, or no recourse to public support. I think no recourse to public funds, meaning that I cannot claim anything. I cannot get support from the system. So what it means that you've told them that you can afford to pay your school fees, you can afford to pay your housing, you can afford to take care of yourself as a student. You don't need to depend on the government for any other. If something happens, if times become hard. So in the West, we have welfare systems, which is a blessing for people that are genuinely struggling. It's a blessing and it's also a curse, as far as I'm concerned. Because you find people that just want to depend on that. They don't want to do anything. But places like Nigeria, we don't have that. We don't have such safety nets. We don't have systems that give you time to figure out what you want. The bills don't care whether you're ready. Here in Nigeria, the welfare system that we do have is, like, I would say, family, which is also a good thing. That's if you have family members that can help or they are well to do. So we have that's that's the welfare system that I know. But most times people are struggling. I would say 3/4 of people are struggling. I don't know if I'm wrong, but that's why I see it anyway. So what I would say that 3/4 of people don't have that safety net that comes from their family. So you have to create your own hustle, or hustle will create you. That's how it is here in Nigeria. So in Nigeria, unemployment is not just about not having a job, but it's also about not having something to fall back to. And there's a very high rate of unemployment in Nigeria. We don't really have, I would say, industries that employ. And even if they do employ, most times the salaries here, or wages here, they are not much. So that leaves people to not have one source of income. They have to have a lot of side hustle. So if you see someone that is earning like 50,000, 100,000, that's now when I mean someone, I mean even people that have children. They cannot live on that alone. If they depend on just their salary, it will not be enough for the family. So they have to have a lot of side hustles. And that's why there's no kind of business I tell you don't see in Nigeria. There is no kind of business you don't see. They sell food, someone braiding hair, someone selling perfumes online, someone baking from home and selling. There's nothing that they don't sell in Nigeria or they don't do in Nigeria. So in Nigeria, if you don't create this side hustle, whether it's selling food or riding bike or keke or whatever, you risk being stuck. People innovate out of necessity. For some people, every day is a hustle day. As in, some people, they don't go out to go work that day, they cannot eat. Which is tough, but it forces out the creativity in people. Now, I'm not saying that life abroad or in the West is easy, but what I'm saying is that in Nigeria, people already know from earlier on that nobody's coming to save you unless you have family members that are very well to do, they can help you. But the government is not coming to save you. It's as simple as that. So you cannot sit down and say the government will sort me out or the government will sort it out if you have any issues. Because people know that they cannot sit and wait, so they start creating opportunities for themselves. If you want to see how business-like Nigerians are, just go on the streets of all the cities in Nigeria or towns, especially the major cities. And if you really want to see how hardworking some of them can be, go to the big markets. Let's forget the big markets. Just go on the streets of major cities. You'll see that Nigerians are born hustlers, to be honest. I'm not joking when I say Nigerians can turn anything into business. The people here, they are so resourceful. The level of creativity unmatched. Things that will stop other people completely, Nigerians somehow will find a way around them. No electricity, generator, transport wahala, bike, keke. They just know how to adjust. While this flexibility comes from hardship, I'm not trying to glorify hardship, but it builds resilience. Let me make it clear. Now, I'm not, because I know people come and say and start talking. I'm not glorifying hardship. That's not what I'm trying to say. Our people deserve a working system. They deserve employment or good jobs. They deserve a government that works for them and knows how to serve the people. But what I'm simply acknowledging is that Nigerians have developed certain survival skills forced by the environment. I honestly think that Nigeria is one of the biggest business schools in the world. Forget MBA, Nigeria will teach you supply and demand, it will teach you negotiation. In Nigeria, you have to learn how to negotiate. So you learn negotiating skills on the streets and the markets, because here we don't have most times we don't have fixed prices. In fact, we don't have. When you go to a shop, or apart from supermarkets, when you go to a shop to buy something, whether on the streets, on the market, or from a hawker, those that carry on their head to sell, they just give you any price. And let me tell you, they'll assess you, they'll assess what you're wearing, how you look, to like gauge if you're well to do or not. And based on that, they'll give you a price. So if you don't know how to haggle or negotiate, you are the one that is going to lose. So when these are the way you also learn to develop your negotiating skills for business. So it's learnt on the streets, it's learnt in the market. So when they see you, depending on how you look, something that let's say is 5,000 naira, they'll say that's the real retail price. So one person will say to that person 6,000 naira. Then you, if you look well to do, you'll be surprised. They'll say to you 12,000 to just double the price. My husband is very brutal when it comes to negotiating. My husband is a very good negotiator or whatnot. He's very good at that one. Me, I try. My husband will just slash this thing as in as half. You tell him 12,000, he's slashing it as in 6,000. You know, sometimes even less than that. So you have to know how to negotiate. And in Nigeria or Africa, you will learn it. I know in Nigeria, definitely. Let me speak about Nigeria. You will learn that skill, whether you live here or you're coming from abroad. It will teach you risk management. It will teach you marketing. It will teach you cash flow management. It will teach you persistence, for sure. You hear someone say, Oga, market no day today, or Madam, market no day today. That person has already done an economic analysis without going to any university. This is why I'm really surprised when Nigerians relocate abroad and eventually do very well. And I'm not saying everybody does very well, but most people that relocate that do very well, I think, is because of having lived in Nigeria and haven't developed all of these skills due to the environment. I think that gives them that drive and ability to succeed, to push through the systems abroad and succeed. Because many Nigerians abroad are already used to survival mode. They're used to sacrifice, they're used to multiple sources of income. So that's why they can do many jobs at the same time, 2-3 jobs at the same time. They're used to starting from scratch, they're used to discomfort. Of course, I'm not saying that everyone succeeds. And sometimes survival mode can also be traumatic and exhausting. But resilience is one thing that Nigerians often carry with them. But there's also a dark side to this hustle culture, because what you find is that some people don't just know how to rest. Everything becomes about money, everything becomes about survival. Burning out becomes normal. People are tired, people are exhausted. And because there's no safety net to fall back to, many people just think that they cannot just stop. So I think that these are the things that the West can genuinely learn from Nigeria. Resourcefulness, community survival, adaptability, and of course entrepreneurship. Learning to make something from nothing. And again, Nigeria can learn from the West or countries with some stronger systems, that people don't have to suffer endlessly just to survive. Because you see that here. So if you're someone that has lived in the West and you're currently living in Nigeria, or you've lived in Nigeria or any part of Africa, I would think this would apply. This is something that you would notice deeply. Nigeria really forces you to think differently. You cannot be passive here. You cannot just wait. You almost have to become proactive. You start thinking, what else can I do? How else can I earn more? What problem can I solve? And while stressful, what I've noticed is that this environment activates something in people. So yes, Nigeria comes with many frustrations. But if there's one thing I genuinely admire, is this hustling spirit, this resilience, this entrepreneurial mindset, the ability to fall down and somehow get back up again. Sometimes with humor, sometimes with faith, sometimes with pure stubbornness. Nigerians somehow keep going. So what do you think? Do you think that Nigeria creates hustlers or people that with entrepreneurial mindset? Or do you think that we romanticize struggle and suffering? I would like to hear what you think about this in the comment section. So that will be it for today. Thank you guys so much. I want to say a massive thank you to all of my subscribers. Please, if you've not subscribed to my channel, kindly consider doing so. Like, share my videos, and also click on the notification bell so you get notified anytime I upload a new video. Thank you guys so much. See you next time. Bye.